slide here. Sorry.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Okay. Dr. Wang, who represent Pennsylvania Chinese United Coalition. This is 33 organizations fund Chinese Coalition. Dr. Wang has some statement that you need English version Chinese. If you need to talk about the reason, you can ask either joint chairman.
Alright, so we have a lot of people now. So we're going to start in 3 minutes. So I will ask Su Ling and Debbie to get ready in 3 minutes. But before we need to start, I have an announcement. 所以说我们今天晚上来了很多人，所以希望大家呢可以有好的经验，大家往前面坐，有空位就坐下来。然后我们3分钟后就开始了。在开始之前，我有一个announcement需要说一下。
Hello， 大家好。今日咧就好多人嚟嚇，咁大家請大家未有位嘅，見到有空位嘅就馬上坐落嚟啦。我哋嘅會議大概3分鐘之後就開始，大家有見到位就好坐落嚟嚇，麻煩你哋。
No, if you need Cantonese interpretation, you can go to the back. On the back there's someone waving, and they have interpretation equipment. 在后面，如果需要广东话翻译的话，后面在招手的有广东话翻译的机器。
Hello， 如果邊個咧想聽廣東話嘅嗰個翻譯嘅咧，請你去後邊嗱，你見到嗰個女仔喺度招手㗎，係揮住個牌。邊個要聽廣東話嘅咧？請去後面嗰度攞一啲嗰啲耳機嚟，咁你就會聽到成個過程都係廣東話嘅 ，OK？
另外一个在我们的左边这边，在我左手边这边呢是所有老人家留给老人家的位置。如果老人家需要桌子和椅子坐下来的話，請到我左邊這邊來。
咁大家留意到啦，左邊嗰度咧，我哋特別留咗幾張台同埋特別舒服嘅位置俾老人家坐嘅。如果邊位長者想坐喺嗰邊嘅話咧，歡迎你去嗰邊比較舒服啲嘅座位嗰度坐下。
In my left side, there's a seat and a table reserved for the elderly and the senior. If you need the space to sit with the table, and please go to the left side. There's a reservation there for elderly.
左邊嗰啲台係同埋凳係專門留俾長者嘅。
最後一個 announcement 就是說，如果我們現在的位置有限，那如果你希望坐下來的話，我們後面有幾張凳子。你們可以自己幫忙搬一下這凳子，然後坐下來，然後結束後可以幫我把凳子還回去。So last announcement I will make is, so we have a very limited seat here already, but we still have some stool on the back. If you need a stool, go grab it and then sit down, and after meeting you can bring back to there.
咁唔好意思嘅，咁今日我哋座位咧雖然已經擺得好多，但係仲係有限嚇。歡迎大家咁熱情嚟參加嘅會議。咁我後邊咧仲有幾張凳嘅，如果有需要嘅人士可以去攞嗰啲凳，坐好坐低，然後會議結束之後擺翻去就得㗎啦。唔該晒。
在我們正式的這個 presentation 演講開始之前，我想告訴大家，今天晚上呢，我們這個演講會包括談76人隊在唐人街建立新的籃球場的一些議題，然後呢也會分享一些關於我們社區上面的擔心。So tonight we will also give a presentation about the new proposed 76 Arena address, and we will also giving opportunity to giving some reflection and letting you have an opportunity to ask a question to the developer. So the developer is here, right? Raise your hand if you're the developer. So 這些人是我們是76人隊的發展商。
咁今晚 咧，我哋嘅議程主要係關於76人嗰個籃球館喺嗰個新嘅選址嘅嗰啲議案啊、嗰啲提案嘅。咁嗰啲發展商今日在場嘅，咁所以大家就有機會啦，可以對佢哋提問題啊，解答你哋嘅疑問嘅。
在这里面通过广东话，接下来的整个活动，会用英文和中文的方式来进行。如果你需要广东话翻译，请到後面去，我們有廣東話翻譯的耳機，他們在招手當中。
咁我哋今晚嘅會議咧，會以英文啦同埋普通話嘅形式進行嘅。另外咧，如果需要廣東話嘅人士咧，可以喺後面戴耳機，我哋會同時同步提供廣東話嘅嗰個翻譯。
So the last thing I want to say, tonight's meeting will be in English and Chinese Mandarin. If you know someone need Cantonese or you need Cantonese, please go to the back. There's an interpretation machine that we can borrow to you. Right? So now I want to invite Debbie and Sue to the stage to start presentation. 现在我邀请 Debbie 和李素上来，接下来的这个活动。
Okay, one thing I wanted to say is if you have an empty seat next to you, can you raise your hand so people can sit?
如果你的旁边有空的座位的话，请举手，所以其他人可以坐到你旁边。
Okay, so there's a few seats up here if you would like to come up and sit. Also, wow, standing room only. We opened up a Little Saigon Cafe on 10th Street, and we will be live streaming into Little Saigon Cafe. So if you feel like this is going to be too much to stand the whole time for, you can also go to Little Saigon Cafe and watch the live stream.
如果你想要坐下来的话，我们在小西贡餐馆那边有这个座位，大家可以去那边那个餐馆坐下来。它的位置在10街跟Spring 街那边。
Okay, we're going to start now. So, are the Cantonese interpretation is set up? Okay. Thank you all for coming tonight to the first open town meeting about the arena.
欢迎大家来这次的社区大会，然后讨论这个篮球场。
We want to begin tonight by thanking all the organizations who signed up to host this meeting.
我们想在会议开始的时候，先感谢我们所有的这些主办单位。
Asian Americans United, Concerned Citizens of Chinatown Association, Philadelphia Holy Chinese American Association, Tom Mill Association of Greater Philadelphia, Pennsylvania United Chinese Coalition, Arnold Association, the Chinese Restaurant Association of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Suns, the Philadelphia Chinatown Dragon Boat Team.
这些主办单位是亚裔联合会、华策会、美国费城福建口语联谊会、费城长乐工会、宾州华人侨团联盟、安良工会、大费城华人餐馆协会、费城太阳队、费城华埠龙舟队。
There's 3 slides of supporters, so hold on. Folk Art Cultural Charter School, Holy Chinese Folk Culture Center, Students for the Preservation of Chinatown, Asian Pacific Islander Political Alliance, Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, Philadelphia Chapter, AFL-CIO, Asian Arts Initiative, Greater Philadelphia Fujian Association, Hawk Sound Association.
我们总共有3页的主办单位，所以这一页呢是民意特许学校、美国口语民俗文化中心、华埠学生联合会、宾州亚太裔政治联盟、亚太劳工联盟费城分部、亚裔艺术中心、大费城福建同乡会、鹤山公所、
Greater Philadelphia United Chinese American Chamber of Commerce, the Guangxi Association of Pennsylvania, Greater Philadelphia Lianjiang Association, Chinese Northeast Association of the U.S., Philadelphia Chinese Opera Society, American Philadelphia Chinese Women Association, and the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund.
接下来是大费城华人工商联合总会、滨州广西同乡会、大费城连江同乡会、费城东北同乡会、费城京剧社、美国费城妇女联合会、亚美法律援助处。
We also want to, this is what community is about. I want to give respect to our elders there. I want to acknowledge our children here. This is our community, and we couldn't do this meeting without a lot of donations and volunteer help.
这个是我们的社区会议这些是我们所有的赞助单位，然后我们也想谢谢场内的所有的长者跟我们的这些小朋友，谢谢大家。
So food was donated by Barley, Bubblefish, Ginza, Little Saigon Cafe, Yakitori Boy. Chairs and audio support from Fast School Interpretation from Asian Americans United and Wallman IP Law. We borrowed Flow Tank 368's truck. A lot of thanks to Termite TV for live streaming. Outreach and media was handled by APIPA. Spillover hosts Little Saigon Cafe and set up all our amazing youth from Asian Americans United and Philadelphia Sons and Students for the Preservation of Chinatown.
我们今晚的食物是由这些餐馆提供的 Barley、Bubblefish、Ginza、Little Saigon Cafe、Yakitori Boy。我们的桌椅跟音响是由民意特许学校提供的。我们的翻译是由亚裔联合会和 Woman IP Law 提供的。我们的卡车是由正威冷暖电装修公司提供。这个 Live Streaming 是由Termite TV 提供。然后我们的媒体方面的负责人是滨州亚太裔政治联盟。我们的西贡小馆提供了另外一个场所，如果我们这边地方不够的话，我们这边的所有的桌椅的设置是由来自亚裔联合会、费城华埠龙舟队、费城学生联合会的义工提供的，谢谢大家。
Thank you all so much. So, this is the information part. The announcement that the developers made saying they intend to build an arena at the Fashion District came out in July, but still many people we talk to say they don't really know much about it.
所以是今年7月份的时候，我们听到消息，76人队篮球队呢想要在费城唐人街的隔壁建立他们的篮球场，很多人还不知道这个消息。
The developers have been having meetings in the community, but they have been by invitation only. They have been having meetings with people in Chinatown, but they are not asking our opinion of whether or not we want this arena. When you meet with them, they just say, this is what we're doing, here's my presentation.
这个篮球场的发展商呢，跟在唐人街已经有开过很多个会议，这些会议呢是只有你被邀请你才能参加。他在这个会议里面，他们没有问社区对这个有什么想法。在这些会议里面，他们在跟我们说，这是我们接下来要做的东西。
This is the first public open meeting on the proposed arena in our community. The people of Chinatown have a right to information so they can make informed decisions and have a say about the proposed development that will impact their lives and their community.
这个是我们在唐人街第一次的公开的给大众的会议来讨论这个篮球场对我们的影响。我们在唐人街的居民，所有的社区人士有权利对这个篮球场，知道所有篮球场的这个信息以及提问。
So tonight we are going to provide space for community members to hear basic information and to ask questions of the 76Place developers.
所以今晚呢，我们会提供机会让大家可以得到这些关于篮球场的基本信息，还有机会可以对70人对发展商提出问题。
So in July, the 76Place developers announced they made a decision to build a new basketball arena less than 1 block from Chinatown. They want to take over the Greyhound bus station and the parking garage, so the back of the arena will be right next to our first business, within 6 feet of the first business in Chinatown.
在今年7月份，70人对发展商他们公布了消息，他们想要在唐人街的隔壁建他们的球场。他们的球场会蔓延到辉口巴士站，然后他们的球场呢，离我们最近的一个滑步的商家只有6尺。
The Sixers are planning to build an arena called 76Place from Market to Cuthbert. Cuthbert is the small alley that runs next to the Greyhound bus station on the north side. The arena will seat 18,500 people. Demolition and construction will last for at least 6 years. They will be renting the space to host many events, such as concerts and sporting events. The current arena where they are right now, for example, has 36 events this month alone.
70人队他们想要建立的球场叫76Place， 会从 Market 街到Cuthbert 街，10街到11街。Cuthbert 街是辉口巴士站旁边的一个小街。这个篮球场呢，可以容纳18500人。球场的拆迁和动工大概需要6年。球场建立好以后呢，他们会把球场租出去，做各种各样的活动，比如说演唱会。这1个月，现在他们在南费城的篮球场有36个活动。
There are many eating and drinking opportunities inside of all arenas. The restaurants range from chain fast food stands to very high-end restaurants. Fans go to the games or concerts and they eat and drink inside the arena. This is a map of the eating and drinking opportunities in the current arena.
在篮球场里面会有很多餐馆跟酒吧，可以提供球迷吃饭喝酒。这个是他们现在的场内的有多少餐馆跟酒吧，大家可以看一下。
The current arena also has a lot of gambling opportunities inside through sports betting. This will bring gambling opportunities less than 1 block away from our community.
他们的现有的篮球场里面有赌博娱乐，意思就是说，如果他们的球场建立的话，会把赌博带到我们唐人街。
More than 6,500 cars park at the current arena anytime there is an event. There's also a subway stop at that arena. The developers say that the area around Chinatown has 3,500 parking spaces. They say people will take the train, so there's no need for additional parking. Their plan is to give their fans an app like Parking Panda or Spot Finder in order for them to find available parking in the neighborhood.
现在呢，费城的篮球场，他们现有的篮球场内，每次有比赛的时候，大概有6500辆的车停在他们的停车场。他们现在有一个地铁站在他们的篮球场。球队的发展上说，唐人街附近有3500个停车位。他说他们的球迷呢来看比赛的时候可以坐火车，所以他们不需要建立额外的停车场。他们的计划是让他们的球迷去用一些 APP 来找停车位，比如说像 Parking Panda 跟Spot Finder 这些APP， 所以他们不会在我们的社区里面建立额外的停车场。
The developers say they have already decided that this arena will be good for the city and good for Chinatown.
球场的开发商说，这个篮球场呢会对我们的社区，对我们唐人街社区，对费城市中心会带来很多好处。
There are too many things we don't know yet. We don't know the impact this arena will have on the community. Usually projects of this size would have many independent studies done by professionals that the community agrees to. If the project is done by the federal government, these studies are legally required. They're called environmental impact studies, and they have strict criteria.
但是我们现在关于这个球场对我们的影响有多大，我们现在不知道。一般来说，像这样规模的大型计划，开发商或者如果是政府办的话，他们会做环境影响研究，然后他们有很严格的这个标准。
A project of this size and impact on our whole city should have to conduct a full environmental impact study of the predicted impacts that the project will have on Chinatown. The developers say Chinatown will not be harmed, but we cannot know that without a thorough impact study. The construction and then the arena itself will have effects on the quality of air in Chinatown as well as noise levels.
球场的发展商说，他们建立球场呢不会对我们的社区有任何影响。可是我们知道，像一个这么大规模的这个发展，我们需要一个正规的用这些专家做的一个研究来影响来知道这个对我们的环境有什么影响。
We also have to consider things like safety, sanitation, drunk sports fans pouring into our community at a time when Asians have been targets of violence, and also the economic impact. In DC, residents told us they were forced to move out when they could no longer afford to pay their taxes or their rent.
我们还要考虑到其他的问题，比如说我们的安全，社区的卫生，还有喝醉酒的球迷跑到我们的社区里面。在这个时间呢，我们社区里面已经面临着很多针对亚裔的这个暴力。在 DC 唐人街，以前的这些居民告诉我们呢，他们因为球场的入驻，他们负担不起各种各样的地税跟租金，很多人需要搬走。
The developer announced that they now have a committee that they call the Chinatown Steering Committee. These are the groups and individuals that agreed to meet with the 76 Deaf Corps and who say that they represent Chinatown to work with the developers around the development of the arena.
球场的发展商说，他们现在有一个唐人街的指导委员会，这些是他们的指导委员会上面的个人跟社区组织。他们说他们代表我们社区。
There were several people from the community who were invited to be on the committee, but when they said they were opposed to the arena, they were no longer invited. Some of them are here tonight.
我们有一些人呢，开始的时候是跟发展商一起开会的，可是他们说他们反对这个球场以后，他们就没再被邀请到下一次的这个会议。有一些这些我们的成员在今天这个会议里面。
Last week, we invited the developers to come help answer questions, and they have someone here tonight, David Gould, who will help to answer your questions tonight. We also want to acknowledge the politicians that have accepted our invitation to be here, though I lost the paper that has their names. Brendan Boyle has his chief of staff. Are you here?
Raise your hand.
Congressman Brendan Boyle's chief of staff, whose name I don't remember. I'm so sorry. And Susan, you have it. Thank you. Somebody's organized. Mary Louise Isaacson, who is the state representative for the 2nd Ward, has Suzanne Ward here. Are you here? Can you raise your hand? Cool. Okay. We also invited the councilperson for this district, Mark Squilla. Are you here?
所以我们今天呢邀请了费城70人队发展商他们的代表来参加我们的这个会议，所以他过一会儿可以回答大家的问题。我们还邀请了我们市里面跟州里面的一些领袖，比如说 Brendan Boyle， 他是我们的国会众议院的议员，我们有州议员 Mary Louise Isaacson， 他的代表 Suzanne Ward， 还有我们的费城唐人街的市议员 Mark Squilla 也在这边。
We also invited the steering committee members to answer our questions today. Since the developers say that the steering committee represents Chinatown, we received an email from John Chin last night saying we did not give them enough notice, so no one from the steering committee is here unless someone came to answer questions. Anyone from the steering committee?
我们在邀请了所有人，刚才我们说的这些人士呢，我们也邀请了他们的叫做唐人街指导委员会的成员。我们收到了陈国行先生的一个电子邮件，他说因为给他们的通知的时间不够，所以他们这里面名单上面没有一个人可以来参加，可以来回答我们的问题。
So thank you again to everyone who came tonight. We're going to open this meeting now up for questions or statements. Mr. Gould, I'd like you to come forward. We ask that you keep your questions and remarks to 1 minute so that we can be sure that everyone gets a chance to ask their questions and get heard. Do we have mic runners or how are we handling this? Are people supposed to come up to ask questions?
My CE team can someone from my CE team, and Taryn and Kai, if you want to come up too.
所以现在是我们大家可以提问或者是提出你们的这个对篮球场的想法的时间。我们希望每一个人呢提问的时候或发表想法的时候，尽量控制在1分钟之内，所以大家都可以有机会来发言。
这边有问题吗？Any question for any second questions? Second question goes here.
Here, right here.
Okay, and 3. All right, 2, 3. All right, cool. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Goldie, I think I met you a couple times. One at the office, at Maple's office at Hip Sing, the first time I met you. And that he presented the same presentation that we have seen at the restaurant, and second time I met you at the restaurant. And all these meetings I've been to are closed door, invite only, not to the public. As I mentioned at that meeting to Mr. Adam, and we need a public hearing like this, and that needs to be done. And time again, I've been gaslighted, They thought it's a done deal. There's nothing we can do about it, and this is why a lot of people are silent. But as far as I know, it is not a done deal, and the public needs to know what's going on.
Yeah, we have right to know.
And in order for our democracy to work, we need to, be open about it and transparent. And I know I've also, worked with Councilman Ofe on multiple issues since the Christina Louis rally. We worked on SEPTA. There's so much problem within our city. It's almost like Batman the movie, if you watch that movie. So it's very similar, and from the SEPTA issue, we asked for safety, we asked for transparency as well. Then the school district. My daughter, a gifted kid. And as far as I know, the state requires the school district to provide gifted education to the gifted kids. And our school district has failed our gifted kids. Next year, my daughter will be going through a lottery. She already registered for the lottery, but January we'll find out if she makes the lottery or not. She might not even make it into any school. Now she's coming home crying to me. She's going to be separated from her friends who are all straight-A students, perfect attendance. That is not fair. Now we have a bunch of homeless people out on the streets who were once taxpayers. Right? They're taxpayers. They're voters. Now they're on the streets. And our city has done nothing about the homelessness as well. Yet we want to build a $1 billion arena in Chinatown. There's not enough traffic, enough congestion, right? And I also asked Mr. Adam, how many parking lots are we going to build? He said no more. No more. He's not going to take up any space. And another thing is, another issue was when at one of the meetings.
Michael, can you direct the question? We want to have a more opportunity for other members to ask questions.
Okay, no, I want to get my opinion out of the way.
For the interpretation first, and then you finish it.
Okay. All right.
Interpretation.
过去中，我们之前有见过几次面了，在微博的办公室里面，在 Epson 我们有见过几次了，而且你这个演讲之前也有展示过了，所以当时的会议是全部是封闭的，没有受到邀请的是不能进去的，所以这不是对公众公开的，我们需要公众的评论参与这里面去，所以社区里面的成员都觉得他们被排除在外，他们以为这件事已经下定论了，没有办法进行任何的更改，这就是为什么很多人保持了沉默。但是据我所知，这件事情还未下定论。公众有权利知道现在是什么样的一个情况，他们应该可以参与，这就是民主社会的意义，应该是公开的、透明的。之前我和欧议员合作过，在 SEPTA 的这件事上面，我们城市有非常多的问题，就和蝙蝠侠那部电影里面演的一样，我们有特别多的问题。在 SEPTA 这件事上面，我们要求了安全以及透明。在学校的问题上，我们也要求了同样的事情。对于我们成绩好的孩子，我们要求他们可以有更好的教育，但是我们的事没有做到。明年我的女儿她要参加抽签才能进入学校，1月份我们才能得到结果。她现在都不知道她能不能被抽选进去，她可能需要和她的同学们一起分离。这些都是非常优秀、成绩非常优秀的学生，这对于他们来说非常的不公平。你看一下我们的城市，现在有很多的无家可归的人到处在街上游走，但是没有任何的事情可以解决这个问题。但是我们城市竟然有1亿的、1000亿的，不好意思，竟然有10亿的资金来建立这个球场，就在唐人街这里。当我们问他，那交通怎么办？会不会有堵塞的问题？他们没有任何的答案。当我问他，那我们会建立几个停车场的时候，他们说不会建任何的停车场。
I assume that on the comments that Mr. Adam made to, I believe it was my father asked the question, you know, what will you provide to our community? I think I forgot what the question was, but he said we will promise to put, you know, Chinatown ad. I'm sure Mr. Gold was there, some ads for Chinatown community on a game day, and I'm thinking, if you put a Nike ad on those, how much does Nike have to pay? You're going to put Chinatown's restaurant up there on a game day? That just doesn't make sense to me. So.
对于其他的承诺，我父亲有提出过一个问题，我不记得他问的问题具体是什么，但是他的问题总体来说问的就是对于唐人街社区你有什么样的承诺？购先生他说，对于唐人街的承诺就是我可以把唐人街的餐馆。 为他们打广告，在港球赛的时候为他们打广告，我觉得这根本不公平。如果 Nike 要打广告的话，他们要付多少钱？那你要把唐人街社区的餐馆的广告打上去吗？这根本不合理。
Mr. Gu, do you want to answer? And you have 2 minutes of time. Starting now.
Okay. That's a lot to answer in 2 minutes. So first of all, my name is David Gould. I'm the Chief Diversity and Impact Officer with the Philadelphia 76ers. I just want to address a few things that have been said. You know, Michael, good to see you again. We've spoken a few times. One is that, you know, Michael, I think you made a very good point that, you know, is the arena definite or is it not? One thing I want to make very clear, because I know that, you know, during the presentation it was that, you know, the 76ers announced that there's definitely an arena coming. What we announced in July was a proposal and an idea to put an arena on, you know, between 10th and 11th and Market and Cuthbert. One thing that we're very aware of is the sensitivities and frankly the trauma that this community has experienced from large-scale development in the past. That's not something that we are... That's not something that we are ignoring, and one of the things that we talk about and that we have talked about in all the small meetings that we've had is that we want to make sure that this is not the same as the projects that have threatened this community. That is our goal. That is what we are working to do, and through a lot of the meetings that we have had, we've asked for feedback on what are concerns from the community. The feedback that we've heard is... The feedback that we received so far from people who told us that, hey, they have real concerns about the arena are around traffic and parking, are around safety and security, are around what is going to be the impacts to residents and affordability, what is going to be the impact to businesses, both from an affordability standpoint and in terms of this is going to impact the customer base. The proposal that we put forth in July was not complete. We know that in order to make a project that actually is good for the city as a whole, including this community, requires a lot of conversations and feedback.
I am going to you as an interpreter to interpreting instruction.
这位先生，刚才您所提出的非常的提到的很多事情，在2分钟之内，我觉得我可能回答不了。我是 David Go， 我是代表76队人的。那首先呢，我想说一件事，就是这个项目是否已经下了定论？还没下定论，所以要讲清楚的一件事，就是对于76队，他们之前有公布说会有一个球场即将被建设，但是这里还没下定论，这只是一个提案而已。所以7月份公布的消息只是一个提案，希望在10街到11街 Market 到 Culver 这个位置建立一个球场。我们也征求了社区的意见。我们知道，在这个社区里面以前有过大型的开发商的提案，然后不被接受，因为他们觉得危害了这个社区。所以这件事情不是我们刻意避开的、不提的。然后我们也有在小会议里面一直在讨论这件事情。我们也希望这个项目可以是完整的融入社区的，不会对社区造成任何的危害。所以我们请求社区反馈，然后在我们得到的反馈里面，大家有提到他们的顾虑是有关于交通的问题、停车的问题、安全的问题、保障的问题，是否能够维持消费的问题，对于这边的商业会有什么样的影响？ 7月份的提案不是一个完整的提案，我们希望可以制定一个提案，能对于整个城市来说是非常完好的。
下一个问题 ，next question. I will also make sure the question is 2 minutes only. If you more than 2 minutes, I'm gonna cut off. 如果问题超过2分钟的话，我会直接 cut 掉，因为这样子的话，对我们这样子今晚的沟通会多问一些问题。来，go ahead.
Hi, my name is Clayton Prince. You may have noticed I'm not Asian, but my children are. And I believe that we all have to support each other, no matter what our ethnicity is. Some of you guys may know me, some of you may not. A long time ago, I was on a TV show called The Cosby Show. I was Lisa's boyfriend. And I played Stevie in a movie called Hairspray. I'm a Philadelphia resident. My question is really simple. Why can't you guys stay where you are? The reason that I heard was that the lease is about to be up and you have to go somewhere. So why can't you build something right next to where you are now? Yeah. It's great to explain the section of the city. Why can't you stay where you are? That's my question.
您好，我的名字是 Clayton Prince。那我会尽量把我的问题限制在2分钟之内。虽然我不是亚裔，但是我的孩子是。我觉得我们应该互相支持，无论我们是什么族裔。那有些人可能认识我，有些人可能不认识我。很久以前我上过 Cosby 的那个节目，也上过 Hairspray。我的问题很简单，为什么你要把球场建在这里？我听到的答案是，这个理由是因为你们的租约快到期了。那为什么你不可以把球场直接建在你们目前的位置的隔壁呢？那边已经被划分成球场的区域，为什么你们不能留在那里？
还是不知道呢。
Can everyone hear me? Okay. The question is why can't the 76ers remain staying at the Wells Fargo Center or in South Philadelphia? Something that is a trend generally is more arenas in downtown areas, which is something. And we think that, and I know a lot of people in this room do not agree with this, we think that it could be good for the city as a whole, especially when you think about the challenges related to the fashion district and how that has not lived up to its potential, and how there's a lot of and how there is a lot of vacancy on that part of Market Street. The fashion district is really struggling financially, and we think that this could be a good solution there and bring more economic activity to that. We also know that that parcel is zoned for CMX5, which means that if the fashion district goes bankrupt, which is very possible, that any developer could buy it and by right build 3 Liberty Places or Comcast towers on there without any community meetings, without any investment into the community, without any conversations. And part of the reason why we are here and sharing information and listening is because we want to be good corporate citizens. I know a lot of people don't agree with us, but that's something that we are working to do. If somebody else buys that property, they do not have to do any of this. And so there's a lot of different reasons from an organizational standpoint why we
interpretation.
Well, you're lying, but come here, you're lying.
Our commitment
刚才
is
那个问题
gaslighting.
是为什么我们不能留在76人队目前已经在的 Wells Fargo 中心里面，为什么不能留在费城那边？那目前现在有一个流行的趋向，就是很多的球场被移到市中心的区域里面，并且我们觉得，我知道。这里的很多人不会同意我这个想法，但是我们觉得对于整个城市来说，这都会是一个很好的发展。因为目前费城唐人街这边的 Fashion District 购物广场里面的情况非常的不好，这边 Market 这一段地方有很多的空位。Fashion District 这个购物广场目前的经济情况维持的不好，如果他们要扩展的话，那这个地方因为它现在的划分区是 CNX5， 所以任何的开发商都有可能把它买下来，然后建3个 Liberty Place 广场或者3个 Comcast 楼。这些开发商不需要得到社区的同意，他们可以任意的进行他们的开发项目。但是我们不一样，我们愿意聆听你们的顾虑，聆听你们的声音，我们愿意配合你们做可以有利于整个城市、整个社区的一个项目。
下一个问题 ，Go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, my name is Esther Castillo. I have a precise question about the impact study report. So first of all, is it true that you guys are rushing it to get it done by spring? Number one. Number two is, if that's so, I would say that that's not enough because we need an impact study report not just on the economic aspect, but also on, health aspect, environmental aspect, so many aspects. And we have talked to many experts, in universities around the city, that it cannot be done within 6 months. This is just not realistic. So my second question is, if it is your intention to get it done by spring, why the rush? Why you guys are rushing this process? So that's my question. Thank you.
你好，一个问题是关于对于社区影响的调查这方面。我听说你们正在赶着得到分区的申请。如果是这样的话，那对于环境的影响还有健康的影响，我们有问过专家，他们说不可能在6个月之内完成。如果你们有意在春季之前把这些调查都完成的话，那为什么你们要急着要这个申请呢？为什么在急着赶这个程序呢？
Yeah, thank you for your question, Esther, and I'm glad you brought up the study because I know in the presentation there was statements about how a study is important to understand the impact on the community. We totally agree. I said earlier that what we came out with in July was an idea and a proposal, and that work needed to be done to really understand what a complete proposal could look like. That can't happen until there's more studies, traffic, economic impact, etc., to make sure that everybody has a uniform understanding of what the impact to the surrounding areas would be. So we definitely want a resource study. The original timeline on the project had it going for zoning in the spring. Frankly, if we reach out to consultants based on, or community stakeholders who lead it, reach out to consultants and share the scope, and they say this can't be done in 4 months, this has to be done in 8 months or something like that. That's definitely something that we need to take into account. And the most important thing is that everybody has accurate information about what the impact of the project would be. What did I answer? I'm not trying to duck any questions.
Translation first.
谢谢 Esther 的这个问题，关于这些调查的方面。虽然之前我们有说过我们要进行这些调查，我们也知道这些调查的重要性对于社区的影响。那在7月份的时候，我们的提案只是一个想法而已，还有很多的工作我们还没有做，然后很多的事情还没有进行。这些调查的话，我们预备要做的包括关于交通的调查，以及对于经济影响的调查。我们想做一个全面的影响的调查，然后我们一定会把这些调查公布给大家，让大家都可以参与之中。原先我们是计划 分区申请尽量在春季的时候完成。但是如果我们的顾问以及我们社区里面的成员，他们请的顾问，他们说4个月之内没有办法完成，我们需要8个月的话，那我们要考虑到这一点，我们需要更全面的、准确的信息，才知道对于社区会有什么样的影响。
All right, next 3 questions.
They said I didn't answer the question, but I just want to make sure I answer it directly. So I'm not trying to duck anything. What part of the question did I not answer?
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay. Oh, no, the only thing I was saying is that the original project timeline that our development team put together had us going for zoning in the spring. So that's what the deadline was. As I said, if we go to consultants and they say it's going to take longer than that, then we need to make sure that we have accurate information before we go forward with that.
那刚才有人说我没有回答到问题，所以我想问清楚一下哪个部分你们觉得我没有回答到，因为我想尽量回答清楚大家的问题。原先我已经说过了，那个计划只是暂时临时的一个计划，然后原先的计划里面的期限是我们要在春季之前申请。但是如果我们的顾问说没有办法的话，那我们也会考虑到这一点，我们需要更准确的信息才能进行下一步计划。
I'm going to move the next 3 questions. Next 3 questions, I have John, and I saw Alice's hand, and Debbie was also raising her hand too. Right? So John first, and Alice Sankawa second. Alice Sankawa and Debbie were here. So who has the third one? Who was having the third one? Whoever has the third one, come here, finally. John, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Waldman, Concerned Citizens of Chinatown Association. And this question comes to mind in view of the steering committee's complete absence here and their near silence since their formation. And prior to their formation, the organizations and members of that steering committee and businesses were nearly completely silent as well, since going all the way back to the summertime. So I'm wondering, have the developers hired any of the organizations or individuals on the steering committee, or committed to paying any of them as consultants for public outreach or for generating a community benefits agreement? Are the developers paying
anybody on the steering committee is the question.
Or committed to?
Just answer your question. Interpretation.
您好，我是张森光敏，我是华策会的成员。那之前呢，你们说过你们已经形成了一个唐人街的指导委员会。那为什么在这之前，里面的成员以及里面的商业人员，他们完全没有说过这件事情，完全保持沉默？那我想问的是，开发商是否有聘请，或者是否有承诺过支付委员会上的任何一个人作为顾问来进行外展的活动，或者承诺过和他们建立一个社区利益的合同？
Yeah, so the question was, have we committed to paying anybody on the steering committee? And your other question was around like the steering committee's absence from this meeting. So one thing I want to make really clear is the steering committee is not the 76ers steering committee. We didn't choose who was on it. We don't have any control over those organizations. They have told us that they are very concerned, as their statement. It is not our committee. It is not our committee. I saw the statement they put out today. I'm trying to answer the question. They put out a statement today saying that they have really serious concerns about the project, which we understand is why we want to go through this process. To your question about whether or not we have paid anybody in the committee or committed to paying anybody on the committee, no. The only thing that could come close to that is when this announcement came out, because we wanted people to know where to go to get information. We have a website that is in English and in Chinese. We put ads in the Metro Chinese Weekly. Dan Tsao was on the steering committee. That is his business. But we haven't paid or are going to be paying anybody on the steering committee. What we have said is that we have budgeted money for a community benefits agreement to help address a lot of the concerns that we're hearing from community members, and that will come after a community benefits agreement was executed and should the project go forward. We've also said that we've heard heard a lot of issues in Chinatown right now, especially around safety and security. We've heard about efforts to raise money for security cameras. We talked about it in the meeting when I first met Michael, and we said we want to help in the near term too, and so we will invest $100,000 into the community at the direction of a committee that can tell us where we can go to help. But we are not paying anybody. We're not paying anybody on the steering committee. We're not paying anybody on the steering committee.
Our community and
I want the interpretation first. Go ahead.
那关于刚才的问题，我们有没有支付任何的钱给委员会上面的人，或者承诺支付钱给他们？那这个指导委员会呢，他们今天确实是缺席了，但是他们不属于76人队，不是我们选的，不属于我们的委员会。之前我们也有说过。我们知道社区里面有一些顾虑，对于整个程序有很多的问题还有疑问。对于我们有没有支付钱给这些委员会的成员，以及我们有没有承诺要支付钱给他们，我们没有。最临近的可能性就是，如果我们和他们达成了一个社区利益的合同的话，那有可能里面会有一些条款。但是目前为止没有其他的，还有就是我们有向社区成员里面公布我们这个消息之后，我们有告诉他们可以去哪里去寻找这些信息，比如说我们有把这个消息扔到都市报里面去，这是更小的生意，所以他是知道的。我们希望可以和社区一起合作。大家提出的安全问题上面，我们也尽量在想办法，比如说是否可以筹到资金来安装摄像头，以及我们想投10万美元给社区里面来缓解一些问题，还有应对问题。
My next question, I have Ellen and then Debbie.
So, afterwards, it's been reported that you asked PCDC to form a steering committee to work with you on a community benefits agreement that will direct up to $50 million to ease negative impacts of the arena. Do you agree that the individuals and organizations who are negotiating with you on behalf of the community should not be eligible to directly benefit from the agreement? Do you agree that people who are negotiating with you should be barred from receiving payments, promises of business relationships, grants, awards of project management, or other forms of financial compensation in order to avoid giving the impression that their support has been bought, and also to ensure that your community benefits promises address broadly felt community needs and concerns? Do you agree that people negotiating with you on community benefits should be barred from receiving any form of financial compensation?
据闻你们问 PCDC 费城发展会
非常好发展。
费城华埠发展会是否可以建立一个指导委员会来和你们一起制定一个社区利益的合同，这样可以安排5000万美元的资金来缓解这个球场对于社区的负面的一些影响。你是否同意？如果有参与这个委员会的人或者机构，他们如果为您联系社区进行协调的话，他们不应该有资格直接受到合同里面的任何利益。你是否同意这些和你一起协商的人应该禁止他们可以收取任何的费用、任何关于商业方面的承诺，或者资助金，或者管理项目的一些奖励，或者任何方式的资金的补偿，这样才能避免让人觉得他们被收买，才能得到他们的支持。并且也能保证你的社区利益合同里面的承诺真的有针对到普遍社区里面的需求以及顾虑呢？
Yeah, so the question was whether, anybody that's negotiating with us on behalf of the community should be barred from benefiting, personally, financially from that. Yeah, I think anybody that is negotiating in good faith on the behalf of a broader community shouldn't be compromised in any way. The credibility of that agreement is going to be, super important. So I think our goal is identifying what are the issues that the community needs as a whole, to your point, to ease negative effects and hopefully amplify any potential positive effects. And we're focused on how we invest in the community, not how we invest in individuals or individual organizations.
Translation.
那刚才你所问的问题就是我们是否能承诺，对于和我们进行协商的那几方，是否可以禁止他们自己本身得到任何的资金方面的补偿？那这个回答就是是，我也觉得任何参与协商的这些人不应该直接得到任何的利益补偿，这才能保持他们的可信度。 当然，这是非常重要的一点。我们的目标是想知道社区里面的需求到底有哪一些，不管是负面的影响还是正面的影响，我们都想知道。然后我们不应该投资任何的钱给任何个别的人或者个别的机构。
Next questions. Go ahead. And then we'll be next please. So we can give a mic to.
Since you can't see me. Hi, my name is Colin Young. I was one of the many who provided testimony last week at a councilman meeting. Councilman Squall, I'm glad you're here, as well as other representatives. When we found out that there was a piece of legislation that was going to pave or facilitate the groundwork for the arena. Fortunately, that was revised, as was indicated by Councilman Squall last week. So, I've been a long-time resident. My question here is to the government officials as well as to the 76ers. You have already tried to sneak legislation in to a finance bill to open the possibility of closing off Filbert Street between 10th and 11th Street. Considering this act of bad faith, do you commit to share any and all legislation, permit, or zoning requests in the future in relation to the arena with the whole community in multiple languages?
在这场的有些人也参加过，还有其他的代表都有参加。在那次会议里面，我们知道一件事，就是有一个政策，你们想在里面加入，这个政策即将给予资金以及帮助球场建立的初步活动。还好这件事被修改了，由议员们修改了。 作为费城的一位居民以及喜欢看76队人员的人，我想问的问题是：因为这样的恶意行为，你是否能承诺以后如果有任何把这些任何的政策以及全部的政策都和社区分享，无论是政策还是申请，或者是分区的申请？ 执照的申请，在未来任何关于球场的事情，是否会和整个社区分享，并且以不同多个语言的方式来分享
？Answer question in 2 minutes.
Thank you. I just want to say I appreciate that question, and I have made a commitment to, in email and in writing, and in a statement, that any legislation will not be considered unless shared with the Chinatown community. I make that commitment now, and I make that into the future, where anything is needed in the future, the Chinatown community will be shared that legislation before even being considered for introduction.
谢谢你们问这个问题，非常感谢你们问这个问题。那我在这里可以承诺，我会通过邮件的方式、书面的方式、公告的方式，如果有任何政策即将被考虑的话，我们都会和唐人街社区 告知，让他们知晓，无论是任何的政策或者任何有关这件事情的消息，我们都会提前唐人街社区联系，以及告诉他们，然后再公布。
The next question was, how would it be shared? You want to translate that?
下一个问题是，我将如何做到这件事？
So the way we would do that, either through a community meeting, the same way we're having today, or through email to any organization that wants to send me. I could make a list of emails. Anybody who wants to know, whether it's an individual or a community group, and they want to know when legislation is possibly being introduced, I will also email you any possible or proposed legislation before it would be considered for introduction.
I'm going to answer the interpretation first, and Councilman will answer this question and then done. Right?
Okay.
那通过什么方式呢？我们可以通过社区会议的方式，犹如今天的社区会议一样，或者可以通过邮件的方式告知大家。任何想知道这方面信息的机构，想知道这方面的信息的任何一个人或者任何的组织，都可以给我留下邮件。我们可以通过邮件的方式给大家公布。无论在任何时候，如果有任何的政策或者任何的提案，如果有可能有这种政策被提出来，我们都会在公布之前告知大家。
Thank you. I would look for at least a minimum of a 30-day window for review and comment. And if more time is needed, I'm happy to do that.
我会允许至少30天的时间，让大家去审阅所有的政策以及给予评论。如果大家需要更多的时间，我也可以给予考虑。
It's on record.
Go ahead. The next question will be.
All right, can you hear me? All right, good evening, everyone. My question is going to be to the brother there. Can you stand back up, sir? Thank you. My name is Asantwari Nkrumah. My pronouns are she, her, and co-conspirator with the Chinese community. First of all, what's your title with this thing? What's your title?
Chief Diversity and Impact Officer with the 76ers. Chief Diversity and Impact Officer with the 76ers.
All right. Given your title, let's be very clear. The 76ers, the developers, or anybody else has no right, legal and certainly not moral, to destroy Chinatown. And the joke in DC is there's a Chinatown with no Chinese. And lastly, let me say to you, as diversity, whatever, a young black person, and I'm a black person, old enough to be your mom. I'm embarrassed to be here to see a young black man being the front man with some rich white folks to tear down community. You and I both know what justification has done for our people. You and I both know what displacement and people settling in your community and push you out. You and I both know what that means, that we know what it looks like, and we got the stars to prove it. And if you don't believe that, ask your mom.
When there are 80 people in the spillover restaurant and they have been texting me questions, I want to acknowledge that there are 80 more people in the Sands restaurant.
我们还有80个人在另外一个仓房里面，在3个仓房里面在看着直播，他们也在关注，他们也在问问题。I'm going to ask for interpretation first.
To hurt them. I also want Leslie, who's from Mosaic Development Partners, who is partnering with us on the project, who also wanted to address the question.
我想和大家分享一下，我在政府的非营利机构里面有工作过2年，和很多不同族裔的人群也有合作过，为大家提倡经济的利益，还有经济的机会，为大家避免被拆迁的这些风险，和76人队一起合作。我的工作这方面呢，是尽量为大家保持公平的权益。所有被提出来的议案，如果不行的话，我们会考虑其他的方案，直到有一个可行的计划可以进行。那我想介绍我们另一位同事，就是 Leslie， 他也会帮忙回答这个问题。
Leslie, you have 1 minute to go.
Good evening, and I really do appreciate your concern and your comments. And I will say that our company, Mosaic Development Partners, share your concern. And we have worked in all kinds of neighborhoods in this city to try to avoid exactly your concern. One of the examples, I just want to give you an example. We have spent a lot of time in North Philadelphia. For example, there's a project that we are completing at 20th and Ridge, where there is affordability as a part of this project. There is community investment in that project. We opened up a grocery store with a black owner-operator in a community that is primarily African American. We understand that we need to respect and celebrate culture. That is very important to us as a company, and it's very important to the 76ers. Give me one moment.
Let me interpret it first. Okay. And then second one, if someone asks a question, you want to answer the same answer, go ahead. How about that? Cool? Right, interpretation first.
大家晚上好，我非常感谢大家能发表你们的顾虑，还有你们的意见。作为 Mosaic Development 的公司的代表，我想和大家分享一下，我们和市里面的很多不同族群的
data, as cited by a national news source, shows that teams have increased ticket prices, and this inflation in ticket prices has caused attendance to drop, especially for the season. The 76ers have increased single sale tickets at the beginning of the season and to get them to buy seasonal tickets, indicating that there is a lack of ticket sales and disengagement from the 76ers fans. With this in mind, why are you Sixers already having trouble filling the stadium seats that they have right now? Additionally, quoting what you said earlier about new stadiums and city centers being a trend, DC also built a stadium in their Chinatown, and barely any of the huge stadium organizations and businesses survived. The entire Chinese population in DC Chinatown dwindled significantly. So you already have trouble filling the existing arena. How do you plan on fulfilling the promises of creating more jobs when there is existing data that shows the opposite?
你好，我是 Tina。我有个问题想问刚才那位多样化的总监，或者所谓的总监。我有实际的数据表明显示，76队的票价它一直在涨，这是因为他们的球迷的出席率一直在下降，所以他们正在想办法怎么样可以就有更好的一个收入。在这个球季刚开始的时候，他们的很多票都没有卖出去，所以在这个一种情况下，为什么你们还要建一个球场？你们目前的这个球场已经有很多空位没有办法填了。你刚才说到现在的趋向是很多的球场都被建在城市里面，但是在 DC 这个例子里面，我们就。
secondly, that's the truth. Secondly is around DC, which I'm glad you brought up. I know it's been brought up by others. I know that's a great source of concern and frustration from folks. We know that what happened in DC is the opposite of what should happen with downtown development. Eminent domain was used to actively displace families and businesses. Properties were bought and people were evicted. And the arena was built without any, contemplation of how to preserve a community. I heard a radio interview of the developer and the owner of the time, and the question that the host asked was, well, what did you do? Like, do you have any thoughts about what was there before? And the person said, and shocked me, he said, well, there was nothing there before. Well, there was Chinatown, but there was nothing there before. That is a horrible response for any developer. That's a horrible response for any developer. And I know I agree, that is not true. That is not true, I totally agree. That is what this person said. That's what the person who developed that property said. I totally disagree with that. We want to invest in things like building more affordable housing. We want to invest in making the streets safer with
If you really want to help us, then you will not want to build an arena.
Jeremy, go ahead, your question.
Okay, I have 4 quick questions, and they're yes or no answers, so it should be fast. Mr. Gould, Councilman Skula made a commitment to share all legislation. It was the Sixers attorneys that wrote that clause into the bill that we had to stop. Do you make the same commitment that you won't try anything shady again?
鲍先生，那接下来的问题都是回答是与否。之前 Squilla 议员已经承诺说，关于这个球场的事件，有任何的信息都会提前公布给社区。但是在之前的那个政策里面，是由于你们76人队的一位代表律师偷偷的进行把这个政策加入了他们那个法案里面去的，所以你是否能够承诺不会再进行这样的秘密操作？
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I elaborate? No. Yeah. I'm not allowed to answer the question? Yes. No, the answer is yes. I wanted to provide additional context.
So my next set of questions are for Councilman Squilla. The developers are rushing to get zoning approval in June. Yes or no, will you commit to requiring the developers to conduct a full set of independent environmental impact studies through an open, transparent request for proposals created by academics and planners with experience in environmental impact studies?
我的下一个问题是想问苏拉议员，开发商一直在赶着在6月前进行议案的申请，所以我们想问你，你是否能够承诺，在这之前是否可以承诺要求开发商进行一个完整的、单独的环境影响调查，通过一个公开的、透明的提案申请，由 对于环境影响有经验的学术专家以及策划家来进行这组调查。
Not just the ones here tonight.
Yes, but a say in who is the contractor conducting these studies and not a pro-development ship.
Yes.
Thank you.
我们会让所有的社区成员，不单单只是有参加今天晚上会议的人，所有社区成员都有权利参与。但是我们是否有权利表态，表示我们的意见，在筛选这个包装商的过程当中？是的。
Last one. Will you agree to not introduce zoning or take any further action until these studies are performed and considered and discussed by all parties and viable mitigation plans are placed for any harm identified to the Chinatown community?
Yes.
下一个问题，你是否同意在公开任何的 分区申请之前，或者进行任何的其他行为之前，已经进行完毕，并且已经给予考虑，并且和各方都已经讨论过之后，才会做及。如果在调查过程当中有识别出对唐人街社区有任何的危害的话，也会给予可行的缓解计划。
好，下一个问题。如果你可以用英文和中文都问问题的话，会对我们有很大的帮助。
Okay, my name is Michael. This question is for David. We met once. I was invited by John Chen for the meeting, and also Stephen Zhu was invited. But right now we are excluded. Anyway, my question is very simple. How much do you know about Chinatown? Yeah, how much you know about Chinatown?
我叫 Michael， 我的问题是问 David 的。我之前被 John Chen 以及 Steven 邀请参加过一场会议，但是现在我被排除在外，没有继续被邀请了。所以我的问题很简单：对于我们唐人街，你了解多少？对于我们唐人街，你到底了解多少？
Yeah. So the question is, how much do I know about Chinatown? I did not grow up in Chinatown. I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up in Germantown. I've spent a lot of time in this community speaking with people like the meeting we had and a lot of other people, learning about the community and learning about the culture. And I'm happy to share what I learned, and I appreciate your question.
No presentation. You gotta answer the question.
I'm trying to answer the question right now.
What do you know about
I'm answering the question right now. So what I have learned is how important this community is to the people who live here, who work here, and I don't know where the feedback's coming from. And people who come here to experience their culture, whether it's because they need a accountant or a lawyer who speaks their language, or they want to go and get groceries so that they can cook their culture and their food at home, or whether they want to go to a restaurant that feels like home. Those are all things that I know are very important, and the economic vitality of this community is very important to that. The affordability of this community is important to sustaining that. Those are all things that have been told to me over the course of the past few months. I'm not from this community. I will never appreciate it in the same way that anybody who grew up here does, but those are some of the things that have been impressed on me based on the past few months that I've been having these conversations. And something that has been instilled in me even more is the importance to do everything possible to try to sustain this community and preserve it. And that is something that I am working to do as part of this project. I know people in this room, a lot of people in this room do not agree with that, but it's something that we're going to continue to do and study what is the best way to try to sustain the community if this project does move forward.
All right. We're going to change it first, and then announcement.
那首先我想说的是，我不是唐人街社会的一位成员，我不是在唐人街长大的，但是我是在费城长大的，我是在詹姆斯那边长大的，所以我和很多人都聊过，也开过很多的会议来了解唐人街这个社区，然后我也很乐意分享我所学到的这些内容。我所学到的是，我知道这个社区对于这个社区的人来说有多么的重要，无论是住在这里的人，还是在这里工作的人，无论是来这边购物的人，或者来这边享受这边的文化的人，无论是来这边找会说你们语言的会计师还是律师的人，还是来这边买菜。来在这边吃饭，来享受一下家乡的味道的这些人，我知道这个社区对于你们都很重要，然后我也非常的欣赏你们这个社区对于你们的重要性。但是我的欣赏和大家的欣赏永远不可能一样，因为我毕竟不是你们社会成员的里面的一个人。但是我会尽量的去了解，在过去这几个月里面，我一直都在想了解你们这个社区，然后我们这个项目也尽量在想办法怎样保留这个社区，怎样让它维持下去。就算我们这个项目进行下去的话，我们也会想到最好的办法来维持这个社区，让它可以对大家来说都是可承担的。然后我们也会继续进行很多的调查来了解这个社区。
So 76 team just tell me they have to leave very soon. And then
队人刚刚告诉我，他们马上就要离开了。
So So I know English speaker have given a lot of chance to speak. I want 2 more Chinese questions. Who only speak Chinese to ask the question. Is it fair enough? 所以说我们刚刚呢，记完76人队要到走了，他们即将要走了。所以说呢，可以问2个问题。但这个2个问题，我想给说中文的人来问这个问题，可不可以？
谁发问现在？ Okay.
So I'm going to ask whoever can speak Chinese about this because none of the Chinese-speaking people have been Chinese. Only will continue. Our discussion will continue even after they left. 所以说，不管他们离开，我们的会议会继续，我们继续讨论该讨论的。说中文的有谁想问题，请举手。我看到你是说中文吗？我说中文嘅。廣東話可以，你個廣東話可以，其他兩方面。一个是一半，一个是你。一半起先说，然后你。
我现在就说，你们76人队今天的代表给我们的回答都非常的漂亮，也非常的空洞。你这些回答都是非常就是说一般标准的回答，这些回答我们也都听说过。但是我的问题是。 你们如果说我们的社区真的不要你们在这边建这个篮球场的话，你们真的就不会建吗 ？So today you guys have answered the questions beautifully, well answered, good job. But it's also very empty. You know, they're the template answers that we have heard over and over again. So my question is, if this community is really majority against this arena, are you still going to build it?
As I mentioned, our goal is to make sure that this is a positive project for we will put forth a proposal once we finalize the proposal and get all the feedback. We will put together a final proposal that we think will help everybody. Once we do that, we will submit it for consideration.
So in other words, you're saying it doesn't matter, alright? It doesn't matter. You are going to go forward no matter what. 你的意思就是说，不管我们的答案是什么，我们的想法是什么，你还是会仍然继续要盖这个球场。
That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are listening to the feedback from everybody. That includes Chinatown, that includes Wash West, that includes Chinatown, that includes the city as a whole. We will submit it to city for the city's consideration. If they say that this is not good enough, then we will.
So in other words, we're just a small part. 换句话来讲，我们只是小部分。
Chinatown is a huge part.
Alright, so I'm going to end here, and then we ask interpretation. And they're going to ask one more question. If you
回答刚才的问题，不要刚才问这个问题。我们希望这个项目对于大家来说都是一个正面的项目。 所以我们希望我们给出的提案对于大家来说都是大家可以受益的，所有人都可以受益的，能够帮到大家的，无论是唐人街社区还是 Metro 还是其他的社区，都能从这个项目里面受益。如果没有办法，如果没有办法得到一个好提案的话，我们会继续考虑应该怎么办。
Alright, the next question, the last question that we're going to answer. 嗰邊有個人講廣東話係嘛？
我啲廣東話都嚟乜鬼？
好，你自己講，自己翻譯。
我自己翻譯 ，OK。
自己講，自己翻譯。
OK。
你可以幫我翻譯嗎
Can I just tell you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Can I just clarify one thing?
So, if you want to ask a question, ask the mic. So make it right.
Can I clarify one thing really quick?
If you want to answer the question, that's
I would love to clarify my answer, but I want to make sure people have the answer. What I want to clarify about my last response is that we know that there are people right now who oppose the project. We also know that there are people who are open to the project, and we want to listen to everybody in the community. We know that communities are not monoliths, and that there's never going to be unanimity, so we're going to put forward a proposal for everybody to consider.
对于我们刚才的回答，我想再说明一下。我们知道有人反对这个提案，我们也知道有些人赞成这个提案，所以我们想考虑所有社区的想法。我们不能排除任何一个人，但是我们也不会达成一致的答案，因为我们要顾到所有人的意见。
大家好，我名係李，我中文名係黃燕英，我係一個福星，就因為小姐會幫我打嘢，我會喺我提問我講英文。So hi David, my name is Eileen, and yes, I'm going to put my question in English. So my question is, why do the Sixers deserve a new arena for a team that hasn't won a national championship since 1993? Could be better spent, you could invest in another winning team. And your arena will not enhance the performance of a losing team. So why do a losing team need a better arena? My second part of this is also, you mentioned that the fashion district did not live up to the expectations of new retail. Another area that is failing with many vacancies is Rand House. Why is that neighborhood not under consideration, or was it just not posed? Is it because it's a notoriously affluent white neighborhood? Lastly, David, you are obviously a person of color, and so am I, and many of the people in this room. The AAPI community is a marginalized group. We have been under attack. With 2020, we have seen the attack on the Asian community. Don't you think, as a person of color, that we should protect each other in our communities?
问的问题是，从1984年开始，我们这个70名人队表现一直不好，所以为什么我们要投更多的钱来支持这个队，为他们建一个新的球场呢？如果他们的表现不好的话，建立一个新的球场也不会让他们的表现变得更好。所以为什么他们需要一个新的球场？还有刚才提到 Fashion District 的表现一直不好，因为他们的营业一直不好。那另外一个区它面临同样的问题的是 Rent House， 但是为什么没有人考虑对他们的区域进行规划呢？是不是因为他们都是所谓的有钱的白人呢？所以没有人敢动他们呢？最后一件事是，你也是有肤色有颜色的一个人，也是不同族裔的一个人。那作为这样的一个人，你知道从2020年开始，我们一直受到攻击，我们是被排除在外的一个族群。为什么我们这些不同族裔的人不是在互相帮助呢？
Okay, so really looking for the three questions. One about the performance of the team. Actually, a new arena will help the performance of the team. One of the things that
首先，我想回答的是你第一个问题，关于球队的表现。我觉得一个新的球场会帮助球队会有更好的表现。
The 76ers have one of the hardest schedules in the NBA. Part of the reason for that is because they are tenants in their building and do not have sort of first pickup dates, which is why there's a lot of back-to-backs. There's also when free agents figure out where they want to play, the facility is a big piece of that. To your second question about Rittenhouse. The arena is being built, replacing one big box with another. The fashion district's there right now. There is not a lot of place in the city where there's that amount of real estate to be able to build an arena. It just doesn't exist. We actually like the site because there aren't small businesses and residents and stuff for a parcel. It's one big box and replacing it with another. And to your third question, I'm very aware of the challenges that the API community has gone through. As a black man, I've also experienced a lot of challenges. And my job within the company is to help us put forth a proposal that is equitable as possible. The one thing I just wanted to add is we usually start off these meetings that we go with a presentation to provide information about the project. We would love to answer additional questions. I'm happy to work with Ray on answering additional questions over email or whatever it may be. We don't want to hoard information. We want to make sure people have the information that they would like.
So, we have more questions. People asking questions, what did they say? We have more questions, whether they left or not. People ask questions, councilors will be here, and elected office staff will be still here. So feel free to continue to stay and ask a question, more questions. But before we ask the question, we want to have a language access justice here. So we want people to check that first. How about that?
对于刚才您所问的问题，我觉得新的球场确实可以为我们球队带来更好的一个表现，因为76人队他们面临一个很大的问题，他们不是他们球场的拥有球场的这个人，他们只是租客，所以他们的时间线上是有限制的，他们很多的球赛都要一个接着一个的对台，因为他们时间上他们是有限制的，所以我们觉得给他们建立一个新的球场，对于他们来说会有帮助。另外，对于 Ringhouse 你提到的这个问题，我们很难找到一个很大的一块地可以建立一个球场，然后附近也有其他的小商业的，像这样唐人街这样的一块地，他们就是有一块很大的地在其他的地里面，这就是为什么我们喜欢这块地，然后想在这里建球场。另外，对于你说的关于种族的这件事情，因为我也是一个少数民族的一个人，所以我也知道作为一个少数民族的人的挑战，你们将面临什么？这就是为什么我们的球队的成员还有开发商的成员希望为大家提出一个公平的一个项目。另外，我想补充，如果大家还有其他的问题的话，一般我们开这种会议，我们都会先做介绍，但是今天我们没有机会做介绍，所以如果大家还有更多的问题想问，你们都可以给我发邮件，我会继续和Ray一起联系。我们不希望大家觉得我们不想聆听你们的问题。
谢谢各位，现在要走了，跟他们说拜拜，跟他们说再见，我们一起来。But I just want you to know what I'm saying over in English. 所以说，其实对他们走的时候呢，我们的市议员王主任还会在这边，然后其他的这些民选的官员的这些资源还会在这边。你们想问问题，欢迎你们说问题。接下来的环节，如果你想提问的话，欢迎提问。如果接下来呢，你想问你的组织。为你的社区组织，为你自己，为你的商业，如果你是唐人街的business 商家，你想说一些话的话，欢迎你想说什么都可以。So the next, if you want to make any comment or statement as representing your organization or your business, feel free to do it. All right? Cool.
I just want to thank the interpreter.
So 我们市议员给他机会讲话一下。
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and expressing their concerns, their voice, and their input. I also want to thank the interpreter because I've been to a lot of these meetings, and I want to say that she did a wonderful job. And I think please give her a round of applause. Thank you. And also understand, this is not the end of questioning. There'll be plenty more meetings, there'll be a lot more input, and like I reiterate, I'm going to reiterate again, any legislation that is being offered will be shared with the community, whether indirectly or directly associated with the 76ers or the arena. And I am committed to that. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
翻译一下。
非常感谢大家能够参加今天晚上的会议，来发表你们的意见，还有你们的顾虑，参与这个话题。也非常感谢今天晚上的口译员，他做得非常棒。我想让大家知道，今天的会议不是提问的结束，我们会有更多的会议、更多的机会让大家发表意见。然后任何的政策，如果有被提出来，无论是间接的还是直接的和36对这个项目有关的，我们都会跟你们社区公布的。再次感谢大家，让我今天能够参加会议，还有再次感谢大家邀请我参加今天晚上的会议。
等意思到这边，我们会议还没结束，我们继续讨论。来，希望大家如果可以的话，多点举手。现在王一鸣律师有一个声明想说一下。So now we have a statement from Attorney Wang.
OK， 既然这个翻译得很好，我就用中文来讲。我的名字叫王玉明，我是滨州华人侨团联盟的共同主席。我们滨州华人侨团联盟现在有33个团体会员。现在我简要的一下。讲一下我们这个声明，我们滨州华人侨团联盟的声明。我把那个不需要的地方我省略掉啊。76人队发布建立这个球馆的消息后，在华人社区引起普遍关注和极大反响。经过近几个月的调查研究，广泛征求华人、商家以及其他族裔社区意见。结合其他城市唐人街的经验教训，以及费城唐人街的现状，我们得出以下结论：第一，篮球馆将使费城唐人街和附近区域已经拥堵的交通、停车难等问题急剧恶化。第二，
I need everyone to be quiet while we have Mike speaking, especially when someone here speaks Chinese.
Okay.
We're asking for respect for our elders. Please respect our elders. When they speak in Chinese, this is the language that has sustained us for centuries. Please respect them and let them have their say.
Okay, I will speak in Chinese first. I will briefly explain in English. Okay. 篮球馆将使唐人街和附近区域居民生活成本急剧攀升，迫使居民搬离。第三，篮球馆将使唐人街现有的生意一落千丈。第四，篮球馆将严重破坏唐人街的中国文化传统和民族特色。第五，篮球馆将迫使唐人街街区萎缩，人口减少，商家倒闭，最终导致唐人街消失。这是我们自己的研究啊。为此，我们郑重声明如下：费城唐人街拥有170多年历史，发展至今历经艰辛和磨难。保护和发展费城华府是我们义不容辞的责任。如果它在我们这一代遭到破坏，那么我们将愧对祖先，也无法向后人交代，甚至成为历史的罪人。第二，费城唐人街是大费城地区亚裔居住、工作、娱乐等活动中心，篮球馆将严重影响、破坏，甚至剥夺我们这些核心利益。因此，我们有权利向篮球馆说不，坚决反对建立篮球馆。第三，篮球馆计划是商业大亨巨大商业利益的产物，在弱肉强食的商业利益面前，我们不要存在任何幻想。广大亚裔必须团结起来，联合其他族裔和社区，防止少数政客和投机分子损坏华人利益，以期共同行动， 保卫费城华府，保卫时尚区，保卫我们的家园。我们不需要篮球馆，美国宾州华人侨团联盟，谢谢大家。
We need interpretation.
Hello everyone, since there is an interpreter who is said to be very good, I will speak in Chinese. My name is Wang Yuni and I am part of the Pennsylvania Chinese Association. So, regarding the 76ers proposal, after recent studies that we have conducted on our own, we have realized that in taking into consideration the past experiences with other big development projects to Chinatown communities, I would like to present a couple of the findings that we have found, and also considering the present situation in Philadelphia. First, with the arena being built in Chinatown, it's going to cause major issues with traffic and congestion that is already a huge problem, and increase the problem extremely more. Second, with an arena in Chinatown, it's going to cause living expenses to go up immensely, forcing people to move out. Third, for the current businesses that are occurring in Chinatown, their businesses are going to be impacted immensely and they're going to be losing lots of business. Fourth, the arena is going to destroy the Chinese culture and the diversity, what makes Chinatown special to us all. Fifth, the arena is going to cause the population in Chinatown to go down until there is nobody left. Philadelphia Chinatown has 170-year history here. It was built on the hardship and all of the difficulties that people before us have worked hard and worked through to preserve what we have today, and we should respect that. So we should not allow it to be destroyed. Otherwise, how will we be able to face our ancestors and how will we be able to face our future generations? This is a place where we come to live, to work, even our recreational activities. This is where we carry it out. So we have the right to fight against building an arena here. This project is proposed by business entrepreneurs who want to invest and make money out of the community groups. So we should work with other community groups. We should work together with them to protect the Chinese community, to preserve what is already here. We do not need an arena here.
Thank you. Alright, so next, if anyone has a question? Go ahead first. If you have a mic,
Let me just make an announcement. We have food that's being served on the side of the room. And then those people who are watching from the other side, you guys can also come here and get some food. 如果你们想要食物的话，我们在这个房间的右边有提供食物。如果在Sam 的仓库在看我们的直播的这些人，大家也可以过来拿点食物，如果你知道的话。
Alright, we continue the question. Go ahead. If you have a mic, and then second, I will pass the mic to the second person and third person.
Hi, my name is Kate Lowe. I do a lot of things I wear a lot of hats, but here I'm just tonight I'm here just for myself. So my question would have been better to ask the rep from the 76ers, but I wonder if the councilman can help shed a little light on it. They seem to have this, to me, extremely flimsy excuse for their location because the gallery, I'm sorry, it will always be the gallery, guys. The fashion district is failing. So is that true? And also, why do they care? Do they have a stake in that? Or are they going to lose money if the fashion district loses money? What happens to the tenants of the fashion district? Like, are they in agreement with this? Are they ready to vacate and give up their space?
I'm asking for interpretation first.
大家好，我是 Katie Lau。那我的角色呢有很多，但是今天晚上我只代表我自己。本来我这个问题是想问其实各位人的代表的，但是他不在了，所以我就问议员吧。希望议员可以为我们稍微解答一下，他们之前提出的理由为什么想把唐人街建在这里，非常的不能再注脚。那关于发生的事，我一直会把它称为 gallery， 因为在我心中永远都是以前的 gallery。他们说发生的事，这个购物商场现在 不赚钱的话，他们会不赚钱吗？还有，如果这个酒厂被建的话，那里面现在租着那些店面的人又应该怎么办？他们会被撤回吗？
Go ahead.
Thank you. I can't answer for the 76ers, and I think they did say maybe we could put a list of questions together, email them and get a response. The gallery is, the fashion district, I'm sorry. Yes, it's struggling. It's been struggling since they opened, but there is still opportunity to bring it back to life. And so I do see that, Center City District just did a report, and that we had pre-pandemic, it was 87% occupancy within our Center City area. As far as businesses are concerned, we went down to 51%, 52% during the pandemic, but now we're back up to 80%, so I think business is coming back. So I do believe that we have an opportunity to grow that.
Interpretation first.
谢谢你问的这个问题。那我当然不能代表70个人可以来回答这个问题，但是我们也可以把这个问题转给他们，让他们提供回答。我自己可以说的就是这个购物广场确实从开始营业的时候就已经面临了很大的问题，但是我觉得它还是有机会让它可以变得更好的。费城唐人街还有附近区域，在疫情之前，很多的营业程度是在80%左右，然后在疫情期间下降到51%到53%。现在疫情过后，我们又回到了80%的营业规模，所以我觉得还是有机会让附近所有商业变得更好的。
Okay, next question. I'm not going to ask a follow-up question because we're going to have a lot of people asking. Hopefully you can answer. 所以说我们不再用就是第二个问题，不断的问第二个问题。我们这样子的话，会让更多人机会问问题。Go ahead. Can you say how close to the mic?
Yeah, my name is Debbie. I want to thank you for staying. It shows a lot of respect that you have when you stay.
Everybody, listen up. So we are supposed to speaking. I want you to respect that. So if you're talking, you can do that in the lobby or somewhere else, so that we can have a clear hear from people. 我们希望就是讲话的人可以被受到尊重，所以说如果你在讲话的话，请你到更下面一点，到后面就讲话，这边讲话的人。谢谢，继续。
Hi, my name is Debbie, and I'm a community member here, and I've lived here all my life. I want to thank you for staying and taking your time out here. That shows that you do respect us and you do want to hear our voice. So thank you, Councilman. Okay, none of those who left. So they want us built here. We don't want it. Who has the ultimate say of what goes there, or are they allowed? Like, is it the government? How do they protect us? And if so, where do we go? For our community voice to be heard and for them to say this plan is a good deal.
Can you answer this question in Chinese?
Cantonese? Cantonese?
广东话都可以。
我都問題係actually, my Chinese is not very good.
大家好，我叫 Debbie， 我是这个社区的一位成员，我在这里住了一辈子了。首先，我想感谢这位议员，他有留下来，不像刚才那些走掉的人，所以对于我们，他给予了非常多的尊重，表示了他对于我们这个社区的尊重。感谢你有留下来。然后我想问的问题就是，如果他们要建在这里，我们不同意，那最终的决策权在谁手中？谁有权利说允许他们建还是不建？是政府吗？ 谁可以给予我们保障？
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for that question. As you heard earlier, there will have to be some type of legislation introduced in order for the proposal to move forward. So that legislation had to be introduced by me. So I would have to introduce that legislation. So the only way I made a commitment that we would share that legislation with the community ahead of time, get feedback, and only if supported by the community would it be able to move forward.
Translation first.
The question was, where do I stand right now?
那刚才最后一个问题就是，对于这件事情我有什么样的看法？那首先回答你刚才所有的问题，感谢 Debbie， 也感谢你问这些问题。 关于这个项目呢，必须要有一个政策，政策被公布之后才能进行下去，而这个政策呢会由我来公布。所以我刚才已经承诺过大家，如果有任何的政策提案的话，我们都会和社区分享，得到社区的反馈，然后如果社区同意的话，我们才会继续进行下去。
My position, and I told this when I met with the 76ers development group, that their goal and what they need to do in order to get legislation for this was to meet with the community, get outreach to the community, find out what their concerns were, see if those concerns can be mediated, and if they can, then a process would be in place to move forward. If they can't, then the process would not move forward.
对这件事情，我也持有怀疑的态度，因为当时我跟他们碰面的时候，我就跟他们说过，对于他们想做的这件事情，他们需要做的就是他们需要和社会成员碰面，然后进行外展活动，找出他们的顾虑是什么，然后对于这些顾虑是否可以缓解，如果可以缓解的话，这个政策才会继续下去；如果不可以缓解的话，将不会继续下去。
All right, go ahead, next question right here, and then over there, and Mike, John. So, I'm the Michael ask a question, I want to ask Chinese community leader. If anyone wants to ask a question in Chinese, I will authorize you, all right? Because language justice is important in our community. 在Michael 讲完之后，我希望如果有说中国的人，或者这边如果有说中国人想讲话的话，我会先让你讲话，因为语言这个意思很重要。Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Matt. I was wondering if the gallery and fashion district didn't really ever take off in the last 20 years, and there's so much resentment against the stadium. Why not work with the community to build something like mixed-use housing, commercial, a small park?
You have to say that directly to the microphone.
If the gallery and if the fashion district were not doing well, and this community is vehemently opposed to the stadium, why not work with the community to build mixed-use housing and commercial and a small park for people to gather and connect the rest of the community by public transportation?
Money.
大家好，我的名字是 Matt。我想问的问题是，如果 Gallery 或者 Fashion District 它的生意营业情况不好的话，然后社区又反对建立球场，为什么我们不考虑在各个社区建立一些商场，还有居家共用的一些地方，还有建立一个小的公园，还有建设对于我们的交通这一方面进行更好的建设呢？为什么钱没有被投在这方面？
Thank you for that question. We are currently working with the Chinatown community on several proposals within the area. One is going to be an RFP for the Roundhouse, if you're familiar with that site. The other was a Ninth Vine proposal on that site that would include, hopefully, affordability. And then the third site is the old police station. Also working with the Chinatown community on that for possible affordable development. At the gallery site, it's a little harder because it's privately owned. These other sites are city owned, so we have a little more control. But if the gallery, the fashion district decides that they no longer are going to be in existence, we would then want to work within the Chinatown community to see what the possibilities are on that site. Now, if they decided to do something on their own, but they wouldn't need any council or community input, then because they own that site and it's privately owned, they would have the ability to do that.
感谢你这个问题呢，我想说的是，我们其实有很多不同的项目在这个唐人街正在进行，一个是在 Roundhouse 那边，不知道大家熟不熟悉；另外一个是在九街跟 Vine 街的项目，我们正在考虑建立可承担的住房以及其他项目。第三个是在旧的警局那边，我们也有在考虑怎么样和费城唐人街的社区一起进行一个项目。那对于这些呢，我们 地主自己拥有的，它不属于城市的，其他这些地都是属于城市的，所以我们更容易、更方便做出裁决。在这块地上，如果他们自己，这个地主他自己决定要进行什么样的项目的话，他可以不通知议员、不通知社区去进行的，因为他自己拥有那块地。
Right, next question, go ahead. In the back.
Hello. Hi. My name is Selena. I would just really quickly like to ask everyone, or remind everyone that this meeting is still going on and there are speakers. And I can't hear in the background. So if everyone can be quiet and if you're eating, do so without extra talking, that would be very appreciated. Thank you. I would like to pause for translation.
大家好，我叫 Selina。首先，很快的，我想提醒一下大家，我们正在进行一场会议，所以坐在后面有这么多杂音的话，我完全听不到他们在说什么，所以希望大家可以保持安静。如果您在吃东西，可以不要同时讲话，让大家可以听得清楚。感谢大家。然后我们先停，让翻译，然后我再问问题。
Thank you. So I just want to start by clarifying, there was a really question earlier asked about why the 76ers deserve a state or an arena even if they haven't won. And I just want to clarify to everyone in this room and everyone who's watching the live stream that even if they won a game, they do not deserve an arena in this area.
我想说明一下，刚才说为什么如果76人对他们的表现不好的，为什么他们可以要一个新的球场？那我想和大家说明，无论是在这个房间里面的所有人，还是看我们直播的所有人，就算他们表现得很好，就算他们球赛有赢，他们也不可以建这个球场。
I also want to say that a lot of us know that what the 76ers representatives are saying make absolutely no sense. And I agree that everything that they said was bullshit. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But my main question right now is and this is a question mostly to the organizers of this meeting tonight. What can we do as a community, people who may not currently be organizing, may not currently be leaders, people who are watching the live stream who might not even be in this city but care very deeply about the struggles of all Chinatowns in the United States, in North America, in the world, what can we do to help stop this from happening?
首先，我想说的是，我清楚的知道，今天晚上76人队的代表他们所说的话，很多都是非常不合理的，甚至很多都就是放屁。所以我今天晚上想问的主要问题就是，这个问题是问给我们今天会议的主办方，我们可以做一些什么？我们不是主办方的人，不属于任何机构的人，不是任何领袖侨团的人，就是单单看着这个直播，对于唐人街很关心唐人街的情况的。不管是美国的唐人街，还是北美的唐人街，还是世界各地的唐人街，都关心这种情况的。我们可以做什么？
First of all, thank you all so much for coming tonight. It is very emotional for us to see our community stand up. This is not the first fight that we've had to fight to protect our community, to protect our elders, to protect our children. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be the last fight either. But we will continue to fight. If those of you that signed up, look for news and opportunity, get the word out, talk to your friends, write letters to newspapers. They're billionaires. They have more money than God to throw at this and to try to convince the city that Chinatown doesn't matter or is in favor of this. We have our elders, our children, our youth, our heart, and our love for each other in this community. And you know what? Our love for this community has always won, and it will win again.
首先，非常感谢大家今天晚上能够参与这场会议，让我非常的有感触，能够看到大家为我们的社区站起来，一起对抗这件事情。我们之所以会对抗，是因为我们想保护我们的社区，我们想保护我们的老人，保护我们的孩子。但不幸的是，这也不会是我们最后一场战争。但是我们可以做的就是让大家知道这件事情，告诉你的朋友，告诉你知道的人，写信写给我们的市政府的代表。我们有很多事情可以做来对抗这件事情。这些开发商他们都是亿万富翁，所以他们有很多的钱可以投到这件事情上面，去说服市政府说我们唐人街没关系，无所谓。他们有很多的钱可以去收买其他人去支持这件事情，但是我们有什么？我们有我们的老人，我们有我们的孩子，我们有我们的青少年，我们有我们的心，我们有我们的爱，对于我们社区的爱，我们最终还是会胜利的，因为我们一直都在胜利。
Councilman, thank you for coming, and I just wanted to introduce how we got to this point, to this meeting. I was on that finance committee, I testified on that, but and the next day when I watched the video, my testimony was not on there in public, so I just want to, and that was about the Gilbert Street. And that was very concerning to me at that moment. That was the first moment I find out about it. And I wanted to tell you how I got involved with this. Two issues. I don't live in Chinatown, but I care about Chinatown. I grew up in East Chinatown. I know exactly what I'm there. And the reason I care about this Chinatown is that every night I turn on the Citizens app, there's a crime going on in Chinatown. It's never happened before. And I never come out at night. So I have parents that live here. I have aunts and uncles. They're elderly. They walk the dog on the streets. That still live here. And every night I turn on the Citizens app, and it's very concerning to me. And when I walk, one night I walk the streets, 10 street lights are out. 10 street lights are out. And 2 police stations are gone, and I don't even know about it because I don't live in Chinatown. And I don't know how our community don't even know the police station is gone. The people outside Chinatown don't even know they don't have a police station anymore. And how I got involved with the mini police trailer was through Lynn. We were at the PCDC camera meeting. At that time, I was invited by Maple. I never get involved with community, but I am a community service organizer and also a volunteer. So at that meeting, Captain Craig, I think he brought up, I think they were talking about camera, and they were talking about offering funding for the community through the Sixers fund. I'm not sure where they're going to fund that from, but the PCDC is getting the fund. And we're talking about, it's not enough for the community. We're going to have fundraise for cameras, safety cameras, which is absurd. I don't think it's, I brought that up to Captain Greg. I said, cameras are good, but it's not enough. We have plenty of cameras on subways. Yeah, there's still crime going on subways. And we recommended that we need police back. So, but at that meeting, I know Lynn had brought up that same meeting. Lynn had brought up that she had a trailer she's going to donate, and maybe at that meeting she told me maybe we could put one near the fire station. So I thought that was a good idea. So, what they had their own committee.
Can you go back to the question? I want to also give you a chance for the media here.
I just want to put the background for on record. I got to put it on record for the background before I ask the question, okay? And the reason is because I was on that committee meeting testified, and for some reason my testimony was not on public record on YouTube, and I want to know why. And at the same time, do you promise going forward that in all meetings revolving Chinatown that you will be transparent, that city government will be transparent? Because we elected you, and we supported you for many, many years, and at that meeting I really appreciate that you took that clause out of that bill, and really appreciate it. But in going forward, I want to make sure that there's no more of that kind of stuff going on.
Go ahead, sensation.
想感谢你有参加我们今天的会议。我是那个财经委员会的，我有参加那天的财经委员会，并且我有在那边给出证词。在那天的时候，我的证词在第二天我在看电视的时候没有被公布出来。这个委员会是关于之前我们有提到关于 Filbert 街的那个政策，所以我想知道为什么它没有被播放出来。对于唐人街这个情况，我有2点我想说的，就是唐人街现在的安全问题非常的严重。我每天打开 Citizens 这个软件的时候，都会看到唐人街里面有案件发生，有罪案发生，这以前从来没有过。我的父母还住在这里，我的阿姨、叔叔、伯伯他们都还住在这里，他们每天晚上都会带狗出去遛狗。每天晚上我打开这个软件的时候，我都会看到有案件发生，这令我很担忧。有一天我在晚上走路的时候，有看到有10盏街上的灯都已经灭了。对于这种情况，我们应该怎么做？我不是在唐人街里面长大的，我是在华盛顿 DC 的唐人街里面长大的，所以我很清楚他们那边的情况。在我们这个唐人街已经有2个警局被关掉了，但是我都不知道，很多在费城的唐人街里面的人，或者在费城外面的人都不知道这件事。为什么他们不知道？对于今天这个项目，我是通过 Lynn 在一个场 PCDC 的会议的时候，我才知道的。当时 Mabel 有跟我说这件事情，我一般不会参与这种活动的，但是我有帮助社区组织过活动，也当过志愿者。在那场会议里面，Craig 警长他有跟我们说，76人对他们提出的一个建议是，他们可以提供资金为我们安装摄像头。但是远远不够我们所需要的那个量，所以对于我来说，这是一件非常荒谬的事情。我们竟然自己需要去募款来安装这些摄像头，所以我想说的是，就算有这些摄像头在的话，还是不够的，因为这些事情还是会继续。Lynn 有说过，他可以捐赠一些，因为他可以安装在那个消防局那边，所以我今天想说的这些，我都是因为记录，想让大家公开有这份证明在这里，所以我才会说出来。那对于我之前的那份证词，为什么没有被公布出来，也没有被放到 YouTube 上？请问您为什么？然后您是否可以承诺，在接下来的所有会议里面都会是透明的，都会是公开的？因为您是我们选出来的，是我们之前支持选出来的议员，所以我们很感谢你之前在那场会议的时候，把 关于 Filbert 的那个提案给剔掉了，给排除掉了。但是你能不能保证不会再有这样的暗箱操作
？Thank you for that, Michael. And I'm going to find out. I'm going to ask you to email a request that why your testimony was not in the public record. All right, I will get to our tech staff to record it and find out what went wrong. And then if it's not there, how can we add it to the public record? All right, so that's the first question. The other question was about transparency, making sure nothing like this ever happens again. And I said I made my commitment to you to do that any legislation, whether indirectly or directly associated with the arena, well, and I actually gave a timeline today, somebody asked, so at least 30 days in advance will be shared with the community before being considered for introduction. The other thing about the mini station, and I'm a big supporter of that, and thank you and everybody else for helping the fundraise to do a mini station to keep police close by. And I want to thank the Chinatown community for always being there to have the backs of our first responders. No matter when there's an event, there's always an event for our first responders. The first responders love being in Chinatown because the people in Chinatown do support them. So I am here, and also one last thing is a process that's going to be going on about the cap of the Vine Street Expressway. They started, hopefully public meetings will be starting, outreach will be starting in February, and public meetings about the cap. This is not associated with the arena. This is just about the proposed cap for Vine Street Expressway. We'll start in February, and then in May, probably start having some public meetings.
I want to follow up.
No. So I need the translation, and then I want to give a press to ask a question because they need to go soon. They've been standing up multiple times.
感谢您问。
我想呢先翻译一下，然后呢，我想给媒体一些机会去问问题，因为他们可能会比较早点离开。各位。
感谢您刚才的问题。那关于你的证词为什么没有公开，我会通过邮件的方式去问我们的技术团队为什么。然后如果发现这个证词没有被公开的话，我们会想办法把它加到我们的公开记录里面去。然后关于您刚才的那个问题，我已经说过了，我承诺在接下来有关于球场的这个项目的任何间接的或者直接的政策，我都会提前30天。刚才我说的时间是提前30天和你们社区公布，然后之后跟你们公布之后，我们才会考虑下一步该怎么做。对于你们社区正在筹款来帮助我们的警员啊等等的这些活动，我非常的感谢。我们的警员也还有我们的消防员都非常喜欢帮助唐人街的社区以及留在唐人街社区，因为他们知道我们唐人街社区里面的成员都非常的支持他们。另外，因为我一会儿要走，所以我想提前说明一件事，这件事跟76人对这个项目是没有关系的，但是是关于我们的 Vine 街的这个火车这个地铁道新建地铁道的这件事情，我们在2月份的时候会有一个公开会议，然后在5月份的时候我们会进行社区会议，所以请大家也关注一下这件事。
好 ，So I'm gonna give you a chance for media to ask question if there any question here. Any media 有任何媒体有什么问题的吗？中文媒体。Go ahead.
我讲中文。我是
Hello， 我是华人在美东的记者我想问一下，就是这次这个法案就没有通过的那个法案，如果要是通过的话，我们有什么方法去给它就是撤回？我们有这种备案吗？有这种可以去做这种事情吗？
问题给我。
Hello, I am a reporter from Harlem Zeme. So what I want to ask is, thank goodness the legislation previously was not passed, but if it was by any chance passed, is there any way for it to be reverted back? Are there any examples of such cases happening?
No, there's no way that legislation could be passed with that language that was in there. That language was mended out, so there is no way that any language associated with Filbert Street or the arena will be part of that legislation.
关于这个问题呢，在那个政策里面，以他们所述的那种情况，那个政策是完全没有机会被通过的。关于菲布尔街，然后关于这个球场项目的这个问题，所以以他们所述的那种情况，在政策里面是不会出现的。
So last question for Councilman Square because he said the goal. Any questions from news media? 有在媒体方面有什么任何问题的吗？最后一个问题。
Councilman Squilla, I think the person asked whether or not if the legislation passed, that bill passed, could it be reverted? After it got passed in City Council, could it be reverted?
If it passed,
yes.
With that language in it?
Can you say one more time with the mic?
I think the person asked if the bill did get passed, could it be reverted after it got passed?
Yes, any bill introduced or legislation that is passed can always be amended later on, could be changed, could be, anybody can introduce legislation, but it has to go through a public process. So it has to have a public hearing like was there. So anytime legislation is introduced, it could be passed.
And then vetoed if it was, let's just say, not transparent, and then groups or organizations.
It would have to be passed by 9 members of council. So if it got to that level, then it would need at least 9 votes from council to pass out of council. Then it would have to be signed by the mayor.
Okay.
All right, and then he could either sign it or veto it. At that point.
Justification could, and then Mike one.
议员，我想刚才那一位想问的是，如果这个法案或者这个政策被通过的话，有没有可能被撤回？是可以的，任何的法案或者任何的政策在被通过之后是可以被修改的。任何的政策他们都要通过
在听证会被通过，然后被通过之后是有可能被撤回的。如果它没有被披露的话，所以任何的政策都需要9位议员他们投票赞成才能被通过。通过之后还需要我们的市长他签字，他可以选择签字，或者他可以选择拒签。
Michael.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Yeah. 我就是想有一个，我没有问题啊，但是我有一个评论啊。我觉得今天听证会大家每个人都表现得非常好，但是呢，这个76人队的代表他提前走了，我觉得他对我们社区非常不尊重啊，就来这么大的人无了事啊，对，所以我们非常失望。对，这是我的评论啊，今天我对他们的评论。因为他们理亏要先走。是。他们觉得没有什么理由，拿不出什么好的。他站不住脚，所以要偷偷溜走。是，请翻译一下。
I do not have a question, but I do have one comment. I feel like everyone who was here today did a very good job. You did very well. But the representatives for the 76Place, they had left early. I feel like that was very disrespectful to us. They just stayed for a little while and then they left. I was very disappointed with that. It's because they know that they don't have a good reason. That's why they left early. Yes, exactly. Because they know that the reasons cannot stand.
好，谢谢。你去，我们来到时下今天的会议。
Do you have another question or comment?
Everyone will be great. I just wanted to, it was just really important, if people should be quiet, I think everybody has interest in it, is that Serena earlier asked a question as to what can be done specifically by people to try to reach out to City Council, to reach out to powers that be, to please stop this. And while I really appreciate the broad answer given by our community leader, but specific things. Who can we reach out to? Who is a name, a person, a phone number, or email that we can contact to vocalize this? Because if it doesn't fall on the right ears, we can scream as loud as we want, but no one will actually hear us. And then second, I work here in Chinatown. Everybody that I work with, I work for a government agency for the federal government. Everybody in the office scoffed at the idea of this. I'm not going to tell you what government agency I work for, but everybody in the office who commutes here out of town just laugh at the idea. And it seems that the community unanimously does not want this. And finally, if you're interested about keeping our community safe, and great, police, we could have police, but why is there not investment in actual community? We're talking about big box stores, and we're talking about giving money to more people that have more. Why are we not talking about helping invest in actual community members that would actually bring people in here? Studies have repeatedly shown that arenas do not bring money back to the city. Arenas do not bring money to cities. Communities being built up brings money to cities. Communities making themselves safe for themselves help bring communities up. But arenas and big box stores absolutely do not ever, ever, ever return on their investment. And we've seen this over and over and over again across decades and across cities. That's it.
我想简单的说2句，就是刚才前面也提到一个问题，就是我们社区的成员可以做一些什么事情。如果我们联系我们的市议员的话，如果我们联系这些代表的话，我们可以做到我们详细的要做什么事情，我们应该联系谁，有没有一个名字，有没有一个人，有没有一个电话号码，一个邮件、邮箱，让我们去联系。我们可以把我们想说的想法都说出来，因为如果我们联系的人不对，那就算我们大声喊，也没有人会听到我们说的话。那第二点就是，我是在费城唐人街工作的，我在一个联邦政府
办的政府机构里面工作，在我们的那个单位里面，所有人听到这个项目的时候，大家都大笑，以为这是完全一个可笑的玩笑，没有人觉得这是一件好事。作为一个社区，我们大家觉得这件事情根本是站不住脚的，所以没有人希望这个球场被建在这里。我们想要的是对于社区一些实际的行动，可以保护这个社区。所以为什么这些钱没有被投到社区里面去呢？为什么他们被投到这些大型的商场里面去，被投到这些球场里面去呢？为什么我们没有把这些钱投到我们社区里面，社区成员真正所需要的，比如说我们的警员身上呢？很多的调查显示，这些社区被建立之后，很多的调查显示，这些大型的商场还有这些球场不会给城市带来任何的利益，也不会让城市增加收入。唯有让社区建立起来，让社区变得更好，才会给一个城市带来更多的利益，让一个城市变得更加的富裕。所以，很多调查都已经证明出来了，这些球场还有大型的购物广场不会为我们带来任何的回馈。这是很多年以来，10几年以来，在很多城市都已经有的案例。
Thank you so much for that question. My name is Mohan Seshadri. I'm the Executive Director of APIPA. We're Pennsylvania's statewide Asian American civil rights advocacy organization. So there are two things right now that you can do to help. The first thing is you can sign our petition, both to make sure that your voice is heard that way and to get other updates that we'll be launching starting in January about this ongoing fight. You can go to apipa.vote/Chinatown. Again, that's apipa.vote/Chinatown to sign that petition and send it to your friends and family members across the state and across the country. The second thing you can do is call and email your city council member. You heard Councilmember Squilla here tonight making a commitment to oppose any arena that is against our interests and before any impact studies. You heard him commit tonight to send our community any legislation 30 days before it gets introduced so that we have a chance to read it and make our voice heard on it. He is the only city council member who has so far made that commitment. So you have district city council members in your area, and you have council members at large, and next year is an election year here in Philly, so they need to feel the heat, and they need to save Chinatown. Thank you so much.
大家好，我是Woman Seshadri，我是滨州的民权还有提倡协会的代表成员。然后对于刚才你的这个问题，我觉得有2个方式。首先就是对于我们的倡议书，请大家签名；第二就是对于这件事的任何更新情况，请大家一定要跟进。你们可以到 apipa.vote/Chinatown 来进行投票签名，对于这个倡议书在这个上面签名。这个倡议书可以在任何州、在任何国家签名的。然后第二件事就是你可以通过电话方式或者邮件方式来联系你的市会议员，来跟他们说你的想法，然后这样就可以联系到他们，让你们的心声被他们听到。在社区这方面，我们的议员今天他是唯一一位今天来的这一位做出承诺的，说他会要求这些开发商进行影响的调查，以及他也承诺了给30天的时间，如果有任何的新议案的话，让我们社区知道，让我们能看到这个新议案是什么，并且给予我们的反馈，让他们知道我们有什么样的想法。这是唯一一位议员有做出这样的承诺的。明年是我们的选举了，我们有很多不同的议员，不仅仅是市议员，还有区议员，还有市的大议员，这些人都要进行选举的，所以现在正好可以乘胜追击，来逼他们来要求他们来保护我们费城唐人街。
I just want to add to that how you can get involved. We need volunteers to go out and talk to the community. We need volunteers to, put poster up in Chinatown. If you want to volunteer, make sure you your contact information before you leave. 所以我刚才说就是 and we'll be planning a lot more actions and we need people. 我刚才说的就是如果你想要参与的话，我们很多时候需要义工，我们每一个周末都会有义工出来跟大家跟他们这社区的人谈这个安全场对我们的影响，还有我们需要这个义工把这个我们的传单贴在这个商务的这个前面。我们之后还会计划很多的行动希望大家可以参与。所以在你们走之前留下你们的联系方法，我们会继续跟你联系。
Thank you everyone， 感谢大家今天晚上这么晚留在这边。我们感谢一下我们的翻译人员，感谢你，还有我们的梅，感谢一下，谢谢你们帮忙翻译，谢谢。Thank you for translation。我们会继续开这样的会，我们继续反抗到底。We will continue against this. We'll fight until the end. Thank you.